Hello, welcome on another edition of the Village Boy Podcast. It's your host, Tres. I want to begin this edition by thanking all those who have subscribed so far. Our subscription count is going up. Appreciate you. Thank you. And it shows that you guys are finding value in the product that we are releasing, in the content that we are releasing, to see that our subscription count is going up organically, of course, and our like count is going up and our view count is going up as well. So I want to take this second and thank you all for subscribing and watching. And eventually, we're going to start engaging with the comment to be able to, because that's one of the things that I really would like to do is look at different perspectives in the comment section to be able to gauge if we are on course, if people are just soaking it in or they're actually agreeing or disagreeing. But today we are talking about Trump's gold card, the new gold card that President Trump talked about. I was a little uncomfortable when he said we're going to be selling, as if it's donuts or something that we're just going to be selling. It's an investment visa. We're not necessarily selling it, but it's a program available for people with that bandwidth of cash to be able to put it in any country. And a lot of countries, as we're going to see here shortly, do have investment programs to attract investors to their country to invest and also have access to their citizenship and passport. So this is nothing new. And to begin with, America already has in place as we speak a visa program called the EB-5 program, which is essentially an investment visa where you have to invest upwards of about $800,000 to $1.1 million. And once you fork out that kind of money, you're issued a green card. And so we're going to look at the stats because he threw out a lot of numbers. I think he said he's expecting to have 1 million people get his gold card visa. He has his name signed up on the card. So he talked about 1 million people buying the visa for $5 million, and that would translate to about $5 trillion, which can then help to repay debt. He talked about taxing the rich. That's also something that I would like to talk about down the road because already the rich in America are not being taxed. I'm trying to understand if the foreign rich who are coming to invest $5 million, if we're not taxing the billionaires in America, why are we taxing the $5 million investors? But so we'll look at that. We'll be able to try to understand what this is. Is it something that's going to materialize the way it's broken down? Or because the EB-5 right now on average has under 10,000 applications, and that's $1 million. So if 10,000 people applying for the EB-5 visa at under 800,000 to $1.1 million, how do you figure that you're going to have a 10x of that where you have 1 million people buy the $5 million gold card? What is the added incentive that would be given? The EB-5 is cheaper. America is not the only country that offers a lucrative or an investment visa for people to come. What are the alternatives that these rich people would be looking at and say, am I rushing to America for this? Or would I want to go to another country? And then we'll explore the other countries and their programs and go through them and see if it's a good deal. So it's a good conversation to have. But before we jump into all of this, let's go through what the president said, and we try to break it down from that point on. Okay.
We're going to be doing something else that's going to be very good. We're going to be selling a gold card. You have a green card. This is a gold card.
Yeah, that's the word that was a little off-putting for me. Will be selling. So it feels like you pick up the phone and you call the US, hey, I want to buy a gold card. It will be a program that the US is offering. There'll be a process to it. It's not just because you have money and then you're just going to buy this visa. I'm sure that there are going to be qualifiers and there's going to be a rigorous screening process because there's a lot of bad people that want to do harm to America that have access to that kind of money that would want to acquire American citizenship. I'm sure they're just not going to dole it out to everybody. Let's keep listening.
We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's going to give you green card privileges plus. It's going to be a route to citizenship, and wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card. They'll be wealthy, and they'll be successful, and they'll be spending a lot of money and paying a lot of taxes and employing a lot of people. And we think it's going to be extremely successful.
Like I said, they'll be employing a lot of people and paying a lot of taxes. And this is also something that I wanted to horn on, especially paying taxes. We're already saying we're giving tax breaks to the top 1% of the country. The Trump tax breaks are already giving tax breaks and incentives to the American rich people. And now, in the same breath, we're saying that we're going to be taxing this 1 million investors when we're not taxing the likes of the billionaires in America. We would have to understand what taxes these people would be paying. We'll keep listening.
Never been done before, anything like this, but it's something that we're going to be putting out over the next, would you say 2 weeks, Howard? Do you want to say a couple of words about it?
Sure.
Mr. President, are there
Wait a
any
minute.
requirements for that
Hang on a
gold
sec.
card? Do you have to invest a certain amount of money in this country in order to qualify for that gold card?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Go
the
ahead.
EB-5 program was really, you lend some money, but it was full of nonsense, make-believe, and fraud, and it was a way to get a green card that was low priced. So the president said, rather than having this sort of ridiculous EB-5 program, we're going to end the EB-5 program. We're going to replace it with the Trump Gold Card, which is really a green card gold. So they'll be able to pay $5 million to the U.S. government. They'll have to go through vetting, of course. We're going to make sure they're wonderful, world-class global citizens. They can.
Another question is, why is it called the Trump Gold Card? Like, why couldn't it just be the Gold Card? Everybody would know that it's a Donald Trump that was the president at the time when this was signed. And does this not have to go through Congress for approval like the EB-5? Is it just an executive order that the next president, if the next president doesn't like the program, they can just do away with it? Context is needed. And when they say a lot of fraud, kind of fraud specifically, because we've had situations where people just throw out words, we would like to know exactly what kind of fraud. But when you look at the numbers for the EB-5, like I said, it's cheaper. And it doesn't have that return necessarily, where you had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people rushing to America to invest at 800,000, at $1.1 million. You haven't seen this massive influx of people investing to get that green card. And the green card is the pathway to citizenship, because once you have it, then you have a clear path to citizenship. So if at the low end, the wealthy people are not rushing to America to get the $801.1 million EB-5 visa option. Now, plagued with corruption, I'm sure the investors don't really care. They want them. If they want the American citizenship, that's what they want. So I don't understand why they would want to preferably pay more now when they didn't pay less just a few weeks ago, and they say they're going to roll out this program in 2 weeks. I think it's a very complex program, and I don't think 2 weeks will give it enough time for them to have done their homework and their due diligence. But I would love to see that in 2 weeks, what they're putting out. Now, we'll finish listening to what the president had to say, and then we'll actually get into the nitty-gritty of things to explore options that are available out there that would compete with a program like this.
Come to America, the president can give them a green card, and they can invest in America, and we can use that money to reduce our deficit. Why do we give out lotteries of green cards? Why do we give out EB-5 for green cards? The president of the United States understands that the right answer is, why don't we eliminate the deficit of the United States of America instead?
The gold card will bring in with it people that create jobs, very high-level people. I think companies will pay to get people in. For instance, you today graduate from the Wharton School of Finance or Harvard or Stanford or any college, and nobody knows if you can even go to work for a company. Apple and all these companies that want to get people to be working for them will be able to buy a card, and for the people that are number one in their class at top schools. I see that as one of the things, but generally speaking, it'll be people with money and people that create jobs, and they won't have to pay any tax on income outside of the United States, which they're not paying right now. They're not citizens, but they'll have to pay if they create jobs in the United States. They'll pay full taxes like everybody else. So you're getting big taxpayers, big job producers, and we'll be able to sell maybe 1 million of these cards, maybe more than that. And if you add up the numbers, they're pretty good. As an example, 1 million cards would be worth $5 trillion. $5 trillion.
Wow.
And if you sell 10 million of the cards, that's a total of $50 trillion. We have 35 trillion in debt. That'd be nice. So we'll see.
So a lot of numbers have been thrown out. I don't know how accurate those numbers are, but if they can get 5 million, it begins to pay down the debt, which is a good thing. But again, he did talk about the taxes. That would be something that they have to look into and justify why they're taxing the smaller guys when they're not taxing the billionaires in America. Now that we have an idea that there's an EB-5 program that they're trying to scrap, because most Americans are just now waking up to the reality that, oh, we've had an investment program that people can buy their way into America by just investing a certain amount of money. So now that you're aware of this and you're understanding that they're about to phase that program away and introduce the Trump Gold Card, that would be a much more expensive EB and a much more broader program that would attract the richest people to come invest in America. Invest where? Because again, this investors, what if I come in with 5 million and I want to invest in California and California taxes me to oblivion and I have to up and go. So there's so many things that have to go into this bill to make it attractive. My issue here is it going to be attractive because every other developed country in the world has a program as such. And so, what is unique about America? Rich people are not flogging to America no more. They're going to other countries, as we're going to see. But before we jump into that, I want us to look at the strongest passports. Most people don't understand the passport index, but I would like people to look at the passport index, like which country has some of the strongest passports in the world. And let's look at this, the strongest passports in the world, and see where America ranks vis-a-vis, because this is some of the things that the rich people look at and say, what passport do I want to have in my arsenal that would allow me travel to as many countries as possible? So that's one of the first things that an investor probably wants to look at. Very basic stuff. Okay, what countries? And then before we even get down to taxes and other stuff, like I'm buying this investment because the first thing I'm getting in return is some kind of global access, some kind of global reach. And so the strongest passport in the world as of 2025 is the Singaporean passport. It gives you access to 194 countries, right? The Singapore passport is the most powerful in the world. This data is as of 2023. My apologies. So I'm sure it would have changed as of 20, but we're just going to go with this for just context. America has not moved up this line because America is the goal, but we're still going to go with this since Singapore is still number one. Number two is Japan. Japan gives you access to 192 countries. Germany gives you access to 191 countries. Italy gives you access to 191, South Korea 191, Spain 191, Australia, and we'll just do this until we get to where the US is. Finland, Luxembourg, it's a high affluent European country, a very small European country, and we're going to talk about this much later. Sweden gives you 190, and this is the ranking right here, and we're looking for Malta will give you access to 181, and we're looking for the US, right, where America falls. And so we'll keep going down. We're looking for the US, and I don't know if I've passed it. I think I may have passed it, so we probably have to go back because the United States gives you access to 185 countries. So the United States is ranked ninth. And when it's ranked ninth, it's not because there are nine countries. There's so many countries ahead of it because some countries have, for example, eighth position has 186. There are about four countries as you could see. There's Canada, Greece, Hungary, Poland. And at number seven, there's Malta, Australia. So you have a whole host of countries that offer out a better reach. So as an investor, you're looking at $5 million and you're asking yourself, what does that get me? What do I get in return? I know America is a big market, but other countries have come of age. Switzerland is an amazing investment country. A lot of rich people want to go to Switzerland and invest their money. Malta, an amazing country. Portugal, right here, is sixth. Right. So these are countries that are attractive enough for investors to put their money. And then you have to then be able to compare them because you can no longer just say, oh, America is the greatest country in the world. So we're not going to do any comparative advantage because we're America. We're just going to have $5 million on the visa. And then these people are rushing and they're saying that they have 250,000 people waiting. Again, this administration has a ability to overinflate or exaggerate statistics. Same thing that Elon Musk has done with the money that has been found. They've come to find out that it was not essentially true. This administration seems to have a history to inflate figures, and we're just going to go on the conservative side and wait to see. Essentially, the Trump Gold Card is a golden visa, sometimes known as a residency by investment program, offers legal rights to foreign applicants, like living, working, studying in the host country, and receiving healthcare. So, one of the things is moving to the country. It's not just the investment is the attraction, is the key, right? But there should be other factors that I, as the investor, want to get out of why I'm investing my money. So, for example, if I'm coming to America, it's because America has an amazing healthcare system that I need to invest in, then I would be able to have access to that healthcare system long term. I'm investing in America because I want my kids to go to some of the best schools as a in-state student, right? So my kids are not going to be paying out of country international tuition. But if I have 5 million, I don't think that I'm worried about how much my kids are paying for tuition. I should probably be able to afford it either ways. Still, if I don't want to have to afford it, it gives me that access. And then to be offered certain kind of legal protections, legal rights. America is one of the only one of two countries that tax you at home and abroad. Being a golden visa holder offers an array of attractive advantages. Foreign investors can obtain temporary and even permanent, which is a green card, and then which your green card now becomes your path to citizenship. And so, what are some of the benefits for this gold card? We've already established that you will be getting residency, which is the green card. You have to go through a green card and then you eventually go from a green card to a citizenship. So, stability in Europe, there'll be stability. So, if you invest in any of the European countries, you invest in, say, Malta, Austria, Germany, those are Schengen, which is a collection of European countries. You have access to Schengen benefits, right? So, this is European terms that work for European countries. So we understand that most of these countries have high public service. So golden visa applicants can send their children to highly ranked private schools, like I already said, and enjoy access to advanced medical facilities. So if you're coming to America, you're having some of the best medical care money can buy. But again, you could totally buy good medical care in a lot of countries outside America, right? Without the bureaucratic follow through of for Americans. But if you really want to come to America, then this is some good schools, good private schools, good neighborhoods, facilities, right? And another benefit would be lucrative investment imagination option, borderless travel. So again, if you have the American visa, you have access to about 186 countries that you can travel to without getting a visa or a quick visa, right? Once you get it, your entire family also benefits from it. And so the top 18 countries that offer golden visas, right? So it's not just America. Like I said, we have to be able to compare pricing factors and why somebody would pick America at $5 million when they can probably have something more comparable, something better alternative if there is a better alternative. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people still want to identify with the United States. So Portugal is a country with one of the best European golden programs. It allows non-EU residents. Non-EU residents are people who are not members of the EU, Americans, Africans, Asians, Latin America, all of these people that have the investment bandwidth to buy investment in Portugal because you're coming in as a non-EU citizen. You're making a qualifying business investment after holding a Portuguese golden visa for 5 years. Foreign investors and their families can apply for citizenship. Essentially, you have their green card that would be similar to their green card for 5 years. And after that, you and your immediate family could then apply for a Portuguese citizenship. And the investment options are 500,000 euros. 500,000 euros will be roughly about 700,000 US dollars, close to about 650, 700,000 US dollars in an existing Portuguese business or company. So probably you find a business that you want to invest that kind of money in, or you could do 250,000 euros in donation to arts or the reconstruction of natural heritage. Establish a business that creates at least 10 jobs for Portuguese nationals. So you come in there, maybe you open a grocery store that is able to recruit Portuguese locals. So again, the priority is putting Portuguese to work. So that would be something that would be good. 500,000 euros will be allocated to research activities by science. So again, if you focus on the research side of things, you would be able to get the visa. Now, once you've put this money, the benefits is there's a path to permanent residency, which is the card, and then citizenship after 5 years. There's a visa-free travel within the area. So once you become a citizen of Portugal, you are able to go from Portugal to France, from France to Germany, countries without getting a visa, right? So it's a visa-free area, and it includes your family, your spouse, or your children, right? Spend only 7 days per year. So out of a 365 period day, the requirement is that you spend 7 days per year. So you could pick one day a month to go to Portugal, right? And so what would be the requirement for Americans? How many days does the investor have to spend here? Right now, the EB requires you to be here for lengthy periods of time. So for Europe, it's 7 days. You could just take 1 month and you do your 7 days and you're out and you don't have to come back for the entire year. If the European space is a space where you want to invest, do you look at the American gold card and say, okay, I would invest 500,000 euros or I'm going to invest $5 million. So again, that would be for an investor to be able to look at numbers and say, what do I want to do? Spain, again, is another option. For Spain, you can buy a minimum real estate investment for $500,000. So if you buy a property in Spain for the minimum has to be 500,000 euros, give and take is about 600 to 650, $700,000. Issue a bank deposit of about €1 million to Spanish financial institutions, so like a bond of €1 million a year. So you're right around 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 in dollars. So right around the EB-5 valuation right there. Invest a minimum of 1 million in shares of Spain businesses. Invest at least 2 million in Spanish government bonds or public debt. So this would be your requirement to buy the Spanish or to acquire the Spanish golden visa. The benefits for the Spanish golden visa would be a free visa-free travel. Again, so Spain is also one of the Schengen countries. So just like Portugal, you would be able to travel across Schengen countries. And I think there are about maybe 12 Schengen countries. I have to look into that. Again, it covers your family, visa free travel to all the countries that the Spain passport, which is over 145, including China, a path. So it's very similar to Portugal, essentially. So we're going to go, there's Greece, they're very similar in amount. The different in Greece, again, you have the Schengen, you have family, you have high quality life because Greece is a high vacation destination. Greece has no minimum stay requirement. So you don't even have to be in Greece. You just have to do your investment and stay wherever you want. You could come once a year. You're not obliged to be in Greece. You could totally just come for vacation in Santaneri and have a good time. You don't have to stay like in other places. You have to be there 7 days. But their path to citizenship is after 7 years. In Spain and in Portugal, it was 5 years. In Greece, it's going to be 7 years. In America, maybe it would be shorter. And that would be the incentive because waiting 5 years to be a citizen might be something that's not very encouraging for most investors. So maybe the process would be 2 years of permanent residency of a green card, and then you're eligible to become a US citizen. Or it might also have no minimum stay requirement. But I don't see America having a no minimum stay requirement because they also have to be able to tax you. So you have to be here for them to tax you and also tax you abroad. So I would have to look at those conditions. Malta, again, is another phenomenal European country, a small European country. Permanent Resident Program, MPRP, that's how they call their own, is one of EU's cheapest route to permanent residency. So it's cheaper, and we're going to look at the numbers here. This English-speaking country in the Schengen area is appealing to investors from the US and the UK. As much as we're attracting foreign investors to the UK, the US, a lot of Americans are also going to these countries to pick up citizenship. And the country's golden visa program makes global investors eligible for Maltese citizenship and a passport after 7 years. Their residency program gives you the Maltese citizenship after 7 years. And you have up to 170 countries that you can travel with the Maltese passport. The investment, you a real estate purchase of 350,000 euro, 300,000 in the south part of Malta, cheaper 300,000. I don't know why it's cheaper over there. A real estate lease agreement of 12,000 per annum. So if you rent a house, 12,000 per annum, that's euros per month. So it's about an apartment, correct? You're paying about 1,300, maybe 1,400 a month. Fairly doable, right? And in 7 years, you have a Maltese passport. A donation of 2,000 euros. Can you, 2,000 euros, right? I guess that's why it's so cheap. I don't know if you just have to do one of this. The Maltese Permanent Program offers the following investment option. They have all kinds of knighthoods, all kinds of groups in Malta. You could donate 2,000 euros. You get your taxes. You donate over there, and in less than no time, in 7 years, you would have a Maltese citizenship that you could travel around the world. Each additional adult dependent on the application will need 7,500. So benefits of the Maltese residency by investment. Again, you could travel within the Schengen area. So you benefit your wife, your children, your dependent, they say spouse. I'm sure it means more than just that. Access to high quality healthcare and education. A lot of these European countries have universal healthcare, which is pretty good. And that's why you don't see a lot of Europeans come over to America for healthcare because their healthcare is pretty good and it's affordable, if not free for them. Attractive tax incentive. And this is what somebody investing $5 million is going to have to look, attract me to invest my money into this country. Right. So you can look at a program like this and you're like 5 million in America or 2,000 or 12,000 for per annum for 7 years. That still doesn't even hit 250, $500,000, right? So Malta is an amazing destination. Cyprus is on the list. Italy is on the list. Latvia, these are European countries. Hungary, a beautiful small European countries, very conservative. Serbia, a beautiful European country. Okay, so we get to the United States, but this is all about to change because we're going from the EB-5 and EB-2 visas to the Trump Gold Card. But up to now, and did America was ranked 10th on this list, right? So we've had all of these European countries and we've gotten to where the United States is. So America is ranked 10th. So what are we looking at? The United States offers two investor visa program, the EB-5 and the EB-2 visas. These programs enable investors to receive legal resident status in the United States, provided they substantially contribute to the US economy, right? The EB-5 visa offers a path to US citizenship with at least 5 years of residency. So again, 2 years, and you have 5 years of your green card, and then after your 5 years, you're eligible to become a citizen of the United States. Now, again, you would have to look at the Trump's gold card to be able to say, okay, is it the same 5 years, wait 2 years, and what is, because you're adding the price, you're going from cheaper. We're looking down there, it's at least $1.5 million or 800,000. So we're going to look at that here shortly, but you're going from this to 5 million. So what is the return on investment first to the investor? What am I looking at that is attracting me to put in $5 million? And then, of course, would that business then be profitable in the long run? Because it's not guaranteed that because you start a business in America, you are going to be profitable, right? But what's the immediate benefit to me getting an American citizenship? While the E2 visa allows investors to start or expand businesses in the US, both visas grant green card, work privileges, and family inclusions. Investment requirements: EB-5, at least $1.5 million. It's one of the highest that we've seen so far across the top 9 countries, since the US is ranked 10th. So they have one of the highest, or $800, which is about maybe 650, 700 euros in a targeted employment area, or invest in a government approved EB-5 regional center project. So the E2 visa usually starts at about 100,000 investment in a US based business. You must own at least 50% of the business or hold a controlling interest. Right. And so what are the benefits for the EB-5? You have direct pathway. So once you drop that $800,000 or a million, you have direct path to green card, which was what was Trump was talking about. You have a family inclusion, spouse and children, wife and children under 21. So the US has the restriction of 21, but the other countries, I didn't see any restriction. So I don't know if the children would be, even say 25 or 30, would still qualify. Freedom to live, work, and study anywhere in the US across all 50 states and probably the territories. No need for active business involvement. So you don't have to be actively involved. And they didn't say how long you had to stay in the US in this particular one, but we could all look it up at some point. The E2 visa, ability to start or manage a business in the US, family inclusion, wife, children, or husband, children, spouse covers both, because it could be a man, it could be a woman. Spouse and children 21. Spouse can apply for work authorization. And as we begin to round down, we have Canada. Canada has, how much are they? What's their investment? They have a business idea supported by a designated organization such as a venture capital fund. Angel investor have enough funds to settle in Canada, so they don't have a specific dollar amount. E UAE is about $545,000 in a real estate program, investment in designated zone, operating an established business as a partner. So you have UAE there. Some of the long-term residency is 5 to 10 years, no income tax and wealth tax, family inclusion, spouse, children, ability to live, work, and study in the UAE, access to world-class infrastructure and healthcare. Also, what you notice about the UAE is that there's no citizenship. So I don't think that the UAE offers just permanent residency, long-term residency, 5 or 10 years. So that's what it offers you for your investment, but you do not get to become a citizen in the UAE. Yeah. So as we've seen this program, it's not the first time, maybe it's the first time for most people to hear that there's an investment visa for people to come to America. So the way Trump talks about it would be a first time for people to find out that there's such a visa, and they're like, oh my God, he's selling. The liberals are going crazy. Oh my God, he's selling, he's doing this, he's started this. No, almost every developed country, almost every country, even the ones that are not so developed, like the ones we're just seeing right now, the island nations and the Caribbean nations, they have this program. And so every country does this to attract some kind of foreign investment, and what they forego is the citizenship or permanent resident status. But Trump is upping the game to 5 million. As we can see, the US was already one of the highest with $1 million investment package for the EB-5 visa, and now they're saying that was plagued with corruption, and they're gonna up the price to 5 million. And already the EB-5 last year, I think 10,000 people signed up and registered and paid for the EB-5. And Trump is saying he is thinking administration is going to be able to move 1 million EB-5, 1 million Trump gold card demand. So we would like to see that, because we think that if 1 million investors come and each of them are able to create 10 jobs, that's a lot of jobs. That's just a lot of jobs. All of these people coming out from the government would be able to get to work, would be able to, especially if there's some decent kind of work, then we would see a lot of Americans get to work. And of course, Trump will be able to tax them, and we'll be able to balance down the deficit. But all in all, I just wanted you guys to see what this visa is and what are comparative options out there in the world. There are other countries that operate in this space and operate better than America. And so investors will be looking at this. And like I said, one of the disadvantages that America has is that America taxes Americans at home and abroad, which means if you make income out of America, America is going to try to tax you. So as an investor coming from a country that does not already do that, do you want to invest your money in America knowing that your money that you make in your home country, now that you've become a US citizen, America is going to tax you at home? And thank you. It's been your host, Trez.